Me anu NPP fo. Ano pay mo hona achi waji menyado. Ejis de hin na ya na pomiye. Mbo honin chana. Menim de yem pinara. Yani raho. Yani buefu. Ya wa home. Onam abaya kotono December 2024. Nkunyimzi ayeheneze enyeza na ehwehwenye nanso ye be ne dan etro samse obibie mu ne yemfa ndase meraze se ye beka ya 1996 abaye kotowe ana yehen papa kufo na oye yehen flag bearer nkunyimzi ayeheneze parliament na yegwa oye 61 NDC funya 133. Nanso Judge Mensa onyene MP sa na waka no ho wabeme mubu oja wana anado oye adwumazin by 2000 na NPP osonko kroko amene modo to 2000 aban okra mehen na ye wini majority wa parliament. The mother so and now 2008 Ankoye Yamahan was in some people party now so ye queer ye bompa ye kade ye koni ye razinoko. The battle is the Lord's. Mama Kay ye mami Cynthia Morrison okay those days Namoko, young flag bearer ho, a president na Akufo-Addo nifi, ne fa, na onye mbesiafu prayer warriors wobompa. Bebi abefe bia NPP, yezi mpay na yezi ta campaign niche. Okay. Nde yemu pina na yeye adwuma zenze bo party. Nze me bia nkoye. Ye twa yeze kesiden. Ye nyanu mendisi fu yi. Say Rebecca ya 2016 Ankoye ya mohon Jaji woni seat no dodo nara MPP ye seat na beye 169 maybe see da Ghana abato abakosem nanso nwampa ba wazenyu season kakanga nende woso woni no aji nti party members Mr. One Minka de azibi yo wa manka wansa na so yenka no fie enko radio do obia ka the side of the story party no obejija nti no yenye ye ho abota zaye wanyi yen papa Akufo-Addo ne legacy ne dwuma obeye mfia wotwe ena yen papa Kufo no so ne mfia wotwe za oye the foundation a ole hwende yerka free SHS yeka Akufo-Addo yeka school feeding na yeka Akufo-Addo yeka Kufo and this was what nti mayere ho pi nyankopon zo open oye yemfa lenti ena onyi Ramadan sesi ankremofo na Christian fo nya ya akwanche da membra ye wo me yemfa mbompa as party members say ye kremonyo ye Christian yo yemfa nse raze na kwanche na kwanimbu ma party enimu wenyusum no wojezi the 2028 nkunyinzi ba yanze yema ekoro yambra party through National Council was set up Professor Michael Kwe committee the one year hwehwembi the hwehwemu was the one reporting about yaka wansem wodin na za order yeze tutu ye ne yeze tu ye wofo bobaka ya NDC fo was set up Kwesibotwe report committee reporting ben waka wansem wodin no nso adoni nkumiza woni ntemisu menyim de yedua ne papama oboso abapama obi ana akoma ntu na yenya awerɛho za esin nyame na onyim za oye na waye nti yentwa do na yenyina yentai mighty minority for honechi iya ya crowd of parliament de ye be adwumazen na party amenumodo nti mumfa mumpa bonta honechi wa parliament na ye hwonbo that the yan brente na tremba ya parliamentarians ye be adwumazen na party afaneta mpefra wonye jezi de obey achia nso ombui onyankopon za asɛ no oyɛ niye ɔdwontofo no se oyɛ aziye za asɛ no oyɛ niye ɔdwontofo no ndwomne nti yenya jesi bi wom emi ziminyim de obey.
Minority leader, the floor is yours. You may begin.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to the debates on the floor. It's a privilege to have this opportunity to close the debate for my side, the mighty minority. Mr. Speaker, the President was here to perform a constitutional function as provided for under Article 67 of the Constitution. He failed to acknowledge the work that has been done in 8 years.
Leader, please indulge me to allow the First Deputy Speaker to take the seat.
Honourable Minority Leader, please continue.
Mr. Speaker, the President failed to acknowledge the work done by the previous administration in the past 8 years. Mr. Speaker, when he came to the House, all we heard him say was lamentation, lamentation, lamentation. But this was not new. This is how we've known the President to be. In 2013, he was in this House to deliver to us a message on the state of the nation. Even when he was part of the very government he had succeeded, and just for the avoidance of doubt, between 2009 to 2012, he was a vice president. When Professor Mills left, he succeeded him. Yet when he won the 2012 elections and he came into this House, he came here to lament about the state of the economy, forgetting that he was part of the government for the 4 years preceding his new administration. Then in 2016, when he again came here to address this House, he repeated the same lamentation, blaming everybody except himself. Mr. Speaker, in 2016, when we had the financial sector crisis, the President came to address this House, and he came here to apportion blames. He said the Bank of Ghana had failed in its supervisory functions. if you are the chief executive of the land, you are in charge of appointing the governor of the central bank. You are responsible for appointing the members of the board of the central bank. And people are losing their investments. All you come to parliament to say is, it is a Bank of Ghana that has failed. That is how come President John Dramani Mahama could not solve the banking sector crisis in 2015-2016. Those who lost their investment through DKM and God is love and all other microfinance companies were left to steam in their own stew. Mr. Speaker, the president was here in 2016 to tell us that if those people had chosen to go to microfinance firms and they've lost investment, the government was not going to take responsibility. The NDC members of this house should go and refer to the State of the Nation address of 2016. They will find it there. That is how bad it was. That the president was in charge of the economy, but blaming others for the failures of the economy. So we were not surprised that he came here and continued with his usual lamentation upon lamentation. And today, the member of parliament for Salaga South, a respected member of this house, continues to say that indeed they are right in lamenting. This is not new. It is your posture. That is your attitude to talk governance, to lament. But what the president failed to do was to acknowledge. In fact, all expenses that are being made in this administration are as a result of revenues from the very taxes you are complaining about. You don't have a budget yet you failed to acknowledge the intervention by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Mr. Speaker, I have said time without number that Ghanaians should just give the umbrella a time. The true colors of the umbrella will be seen in due time. Even today, they promised us 60 ministers. So you are showing less, more divide. Only a day before yesterday, Honorable Abu Jinapo had cause to remind you that in introducing less ministers, you are appointing more staffers. Today, you say you have a minister of state responsible for government communications. Yet you have 6 communication specialists all advising him. Who does this? So you try to confuse people with your so-called few ministers. And you are even so indecisive. You say you are appointing 60 ministers. Parliament has given you the space to form your government on time. It's left with 4 deputy ministers, even that you are struggling. And you come here to complain. You have 4 more deputy ministers to appoint. The president has failed to comply with the affirmative action law in this chamber. He has announced his cabinet. This is the president who says he is doing reset. What is he resetting? When Hajia Ayamba Ladi is here and has not been given an appointment, when Honorable Helen Intosu is here and has not been given any appointment. When Honorable Poku Asoya is in this chamber, when the Okankwe North MP is here and has not been considered, because the law says you should do a minimum of 30%. You are doing 10%, creating the impression that you don't have the women. Meanwhile, the women are here in this chamber. How do you appoint only 10% women into cabinets? Mr. Speaker, the president has failed this nation. How can the president overlook a Senator Ajiman Rawlings? How can the president ignore such a competent material? Mr. Speaker, we are talking about 30% women in government. Even if you look at the other deputy ministers, you add them to the cabinet, he still doesn't even cross 20%. So you say one thing and do another. Yet this is the same president who today is criticizing a predecessor who faced a major economic hit, yet ensured that the ship of states sailed smoothly. Mr. Speaker, let me remind the president on something. Mr. Speaker, when President Mills of blessed memory came into office, with the president as the chair of the economic management team, they promised the fisher folks, my people along the coast, from the western region to Volta region, they promised them a landing beach site. They went for a CDB facility somewhere 2014. They later came to do what we call capping. They failed to construct a single landing beach facility. Nana Akufo-Addo came into office, listening and responding to the cry of the fisher folks. The landing beach projects were initiated. A facility was brought to Parliament. Parliament approved it. And today, the following communities have received a facelift at their various insurance. Mr. Speaker, if you go to Discoff, Mori, Manford, Winneba, Senyabreku, Gomoafete, Osu, Teshin, Axim, Ekumfi Otwam, and Abanze, including our own, if you go to the Gbesi area, you go there, go and see the landing beach. NDC failed to construct a single landing beach project. Mr. Speaker, is Jamestown not seeing a landing beach? Is Elmina not seeing a landing beach? We have constructed, we have ensured that all facilities are there to support the fisher folks. This is the record we leave Ghanaians. The NDC promised landing beach, not a single one of them was constructed. Today they claim a so-called Nkoko Nkete. A man will be judged by his conduct. Yesterday, Mr. President had an opportunity to help the poor farmers in the north. Those who needed tractors were disappointed. And those who were going into the guinea fowl rearing, they said they were introducing a confirm. What happened to that confirm? And today, you come and tell us that you are introducing Nkokon Kitinkiti. Nkokon Kitinkiti. Time would expose you. Time will expose you. Mr. President was here to lament on the state of our agriculture. We want the president to tell us about his own record. Public service is about your record. What record did he leave us on the 7th of January 2017 when he was leaving office after 8 years of the NDC administration? Nothing. Today, the president comes to tell us that the cocoa sector failed. He forgot that the highest production levels was achieved during the NPP administration, over 1 million tons. That was the highest ever to be achieved in the history of the country. Yet he comes here to lament. What we want to tell him that governance is a continuum. He should pick it up from where we left off and fix it if he thinks it's broken. We don't need lamentations. Today the NDC has forgotten that it came into office with its own manifesto. What is all this about committee here, committee there, committee here? It is not for purposes of consultation. They are only doing this to disown their own initiatives because they are not sure of their initiatives. When Akufo-Addo came into office, the first thing he did was the free SHS. He implemented it without any delay. What are they waiting for? This their so-called 24-hour economy is being defined variously by many people. Some of their people have not even read it. They don't know. They say 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy. What is 24-hour economy? Mr. Speaker, before the president came into this house, he was aware that his own party youth had besieged the party headquarters, asking for jobs, demanding for jobs. So far, they are failing. What they are rather doing is to worsen the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian youth. What is the gain in terminating appointment of innocent Ghanaians who have been employed into various state institutions? Today, all we hear is sack them, sack them, sack them. Today, the president who in 2017 was saying that we are all Ghanaians has forgotten that that was the posture he took. Today, he's being more partisan than being a Ghanaian. So you hear his members saying that we'll replace them with our party people. Replace them with our party people. Mr. Speaker, what the president has forgotten is that he took an oath to do right to all manner of persons. And every Ghanaian has his rights provided for under the Constitution. The right to work, which comes under economic rights, are far rights. And if the government indeed believes in creating opportunity for all, the least it could have done was to create a space for new recruitment rather than look into the eyes of parents who have paid school fees and by the grace of God their children have gotten jobs, and to tell them that I am sacking your son to come and sit at home I don't care what happens to you. This is the same president who claims Mahama cares. Cares about what? The health insurance policy that the NDC nearly collapsed it, that the NPP administration that introduced it has come to reactivate it and make it better. You want to introduce some subsidiary policy on it and you say it's Mahama cares, forgetting about what has been done. Did Kufuor say that Kufuor cares when he introduced the health insurance? School feeding program, a major social intervention program that was introduced by Kufuor. And today, if you come and you say you want to sustain it, you create the impression as if it is your policy. Can the NDC name a single social intervention program it has introduced and implemented successfully? We tired of the promises, the double standards, the lamentations, and the hypocrisy. The president should walk the talk and do the do, and stop all the lamentations. Clearly, for the 8 years of the NPP, the records have it that even when it came to support to students to study abroad, the NPP was not discriminatory. Today, it's on record that the Deputy Attorney General nominee, who has just been approved, had his scholarship to go and study PhD in the UK. The government was a government for all Ghanaians. The man was loud on the street criticizing the NPP, but the NPP did not deny him the opportunity for higher education. His fees were paid by the state, accommodation paid, living expenses paid for 4 years. That is what the state did. So it was not a period of discrimination. Mr. Speaker, the government was boasting that it had paid some coupons that matured. From which money? Has this government introduced any tax policy? So why the mischief? Why the deceit? These were monies that they had come to meet, so they should not deceive Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, the youth employment policy. It was during Kufuor's era that the youth employment policy was given life, and an enactment came before this house to establish the agency. And when the agency came into being, many of our youth on the streets gained employment. The NDC came into office for 8 years. There was nothing for the youth to look up to. They couldn't sustain it. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came into office and introduced additional policies to create space for a lot of our youths. The records are there. They have now come in. The very infrastructure that they came to meet is what they are relying on. Nothing new. Yet they condemn the Akufo-Addo administration. They claim that after elections, you don't need to make appointments. May I remind the president? May I remind our colleague Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, who in 2016 was all over saying that a government's term ends the day it hands over to a new government. Therefore, they were right in appointing a Shraj boss. They were right in appointing an Auditor General. They were right in appointing an NCC chairperson? Have they forgotten the inconsistencies of their own principles will continue to haunt them? Mr. Speaker, we in the NPP believe that in the minimum we laid a solid foundation amidst all the economic turbulence, and we handed over a nation peaceful with the borders secured to the John Dramani Mahama administration. It is for them to hold on to these and make it even better. So far, Mr. Speaker, it is clear that they have nothing useful to add. It's so clear that they have nothing useful to add. All we hear these days is political persecution in the guise of political accountability. Is that what we voted for them for? When the president was here, he reduced the SONA into going into gallery, saying that some people are running away from the jurisdiction and saying all manner of things. That is not what we expected of him. But in the coming days, we shall see how transparent this NDC administration is going to be. We shall see how accountable this NDC administration is going to be. Already, we hear they've started their own internal fight. It's up to them. It's up to them. It's up to them. Even the appointment they are making so far is like wait for Baku, Mr. for Baku, wait for Baku, Mr. for Baku. Already they are rendering the president a lame duck already. It is obvious the way the appointment is going. We can see you have to align before you are considered. It is obvious. It is obvious. All the talent, the prominent talent in this chamber, because they have no godfather, they are not being considered. The independent members of parliament who align with the NDC majority, not a single one of them has been considered. Not a single one of them has been considered. Bonnie Bain, Bonnie Bain. This is a true family and friends government. You must be a friend to somebody before your name will go. Why? 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 Are you not all NDCs? Mr. Speaker, the president says that he has so many MPs, he doesn't know what to do with them. It is a reason why so many of them are also not entering this chamber. Because he's rendered them redundant. He has rendered them redundant. There is huge frustration. And he couldn't come into this chamber to assure Parliament that the members of the majority side, we are not talking about us, you, your side. He couldn't assure even the majority of constructive engagement for the purposes of governance. Many are desperate. You see them, they don't know where they are going. Are you going to be on a board? I don't know. Are you going to be a deputy minister? I don't know. Mr. Speaker, how should the MPs go and account to their people? Mr. Speaker, this government offers no hope to its own members. If a member of parliament who is part of a 24-hour economy does not know when resources will come for the constituents, what about the ordinary member of the community? What about the foot soldier? This is the state of hopelessness. Ghana for Atuabe Nuomuho. Mr. Speaker, I can only assure Ghanaians that truly, for all we did in terms of social intervention programs, for which they can attest to, they should be assured that 2028 is not far away from today. The ravening clouds shall not long be victorious. They shall not long possess the skies. A day of hope is on its way. And a better government, a government that understood their plight, will come again and to resolve their challenges. Mr. Speaker, without more arrest.